Well, ask God when you reach that point, because He'll show you it's really not that hard. Practice it. So all around the world, you think there'd be people if they had a basic income in El Salvador or Mexico? You think these people would be moving north, even though it'd be fiscally prudent for their government to do that, to prevent these gangs? I mean, you could say, well, you're pacifying them and you're paying them off. No, I'm just tapping into biblical principles and saying, no, I mean, they have a right. We're taking these resources out of the ground, and the greatest resource is Adam Smith, the most famous economist the world ever knew, points out that labor, a willing workforce, is every nation's single greatest resource or asset. Same thing. We all have a right to share in each other's labors. Do you understand? You can say, hey, bull, my labor's my labor. You could, well, look, like I said, you could cut off your nose to spite your face, or you could get with the program of logic and say, well, all right, let's do it. Even though, I got to hold my nose while I pay this basic income, if it really means my taxes are going to plummet because all these people are going to be, looking for other jobs, then let's do it. That's their problem. You know what's going to happen in the financial services industry? Some 25% of people are employed in the financial services industry. Suddenly, these people's jobs are going to, most of them are going to be irrelevant too. People are going to be borrowing a lot less money. Who's primarily going to these check cashing places, payday loans? It's poor people, do you understand, that are supporting this industry. So there's going to be vast amounts of people unemployed there. The social welfare industry, vast amounts. If you're just sending people checks directly instead of making them jump through all these hoops to qualify for welfare, whether it be food stamps or housing assistance or, paying their utility bill assistance or whatever the welfare may be, child care assistance, you just send them checks directly. The dubious warfare industry, be very much harder to get people interested in marching off to a war they're not 100% behind. You could educate them again before they go and say, well, no, I don't support this military action, so I'm not going to go do it. This military action I support. I'll pay to go kick Hitler's butt, for example. So let's be intellectually honest here, folks, and you'll arrive at the same conclusion. Okay? You'll understand I'm telling you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. So I hope I've explained good enough to where people can understand this information I'm trying to convey here. It's very important, critical that we understand what's going on here and how they're dividing us, why they're dividing us. They love a pool of desperate people south of the border, these evildoers. They're manipulating us. You got Bill Kristol, what an evil idiot he is, about keeping the cocky American workers in their place by doing this. That's his motivation. Evil man, as far as I'm concerned. I just don't like the man. I have great dislike for the man. But we have to be honest about this. We have to be honest and admit, how and why solving these problems, social, political, economic problems, would result in mass unemployment. So then somebody being the devil's advocate would ask me, well, then why in the hell would you want to do it? What kind of an idiot? That's the status quo establishment beast system talking, right? The devil's advocate. All these minions that go along with it want this trajectory to continue to oblivion because they've got no rational plan. Okay, they don't know what they're doing. These are insane people that need parenting. They need to be put in their place by whatever means necessary. They need to be thrown down. And we're going to need God's help, literally. So we've got to think right. We've got to speak right. We've got to be pure of heart. We've got to make no bones about it that we want the best for all people. Let's help people get things straightened out in their own countries. Let's go down to El Salvador. Let's send the military down there to investigate this thing. Okay, this government said, well, you're not welcome here. Well, we say you're not a legitimate government. You don't have police. We know these people, they're testifying and saying that they've got these gangs running the town and everybody's being intimidated and terrorized by these gangs. Well, you don't have a legitimate police force in El Salvador and in San Salvador. You don't have a legitimate military down there. So we're going to tell you what's what very peacefully here. We're not here for a fight. We're here for a fix. Okay, which is something, again, the evil doing globalist elitist types. Okay, go on all day, describe adjective to describe these evil people that have this evil agenda. Okay, but I tell you what, I hope that I've pontificated long enough on this thing to where people understand. I've got some notes here from current events from this past week I'm going to go over, and I'm sure I'm going to touch on some of the same stuff I've already touched on, but it's serious, folks, and really, I'm waiting with bated breath, and I've been doing this for decades now because I know that it's about to hit the fan. It has to hit the fan eventually. They've kicked the can down the road a remarkably long time. They've passed the buck a remarkably long time. The burden of this national debt has been falling on the poor more and more and more for a hell of a long time. Okay, and it's time that we figured it out. Figure it out, folks. These people created the problem, the poverty. To blame the poor people for being poor is like blaming the forest for being burned down after some idiot threw a flare into the forest on a windy day. Say, well, you should have tougher bark and be more resilient to the flames. I mean, that's it. I mean, with this Cloward and Piven strategy, isn't that a good analogy for what's going on here? They're deliberately doing this. So to fight these people, it's almost like just go along and say, well, all right, you want me poor? I don't have, I don't want to pay a beast system anyhow. The people that pay the highest taxes out there, they're feeding the beast the most. Then they're always talking like they're the ones, well, I don't want you on welfare. I got to pay that welfare bill. And they've got no idea who they're paying. They're paying the beast. They're supporting the beast, the bailout of '08, those banksters. Where we should have seen a market correction. If we had any semblance of true capitalism, we would have seen a huge market correction. And, maybe you'd be able to buy a house on a minimum wage job again after the '08, if we didn't bail these idiots out. That's where your money is going. You say, well, yeah, but the value of my house went up. I don't see that. Well, the worth of your dollar went up. The dollar relative to your housing costs shrunk. I don't care, but the numbers went up sufficiently to please me. So, you see, that's it. We're trained. So I don't hold it against anybody for being an utter, abject, absolute idiot because you've been trained to be that. I'm trying to get you out of there and say, look at this thing logically, even, the mathematical aspect of it. Please, I beg you, come out of Babylon, folks. I'm scared. I'm scared that people are going to just get it too late. It's going to be just like Jesus said. It's going to be like in the days of Noah, and it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. They were utterly unprepared. Like Jesus describes, it's going to come as a thief in the night, the end of the age, the beginning of a new age. So if it's too difficult for you to imagine a world without money, practice. Say, God help me, because I know that the things I'm saying sound radical because you've been trained to believe they are. I know it'd be a huge trauma to the status quo, social, political, and economic order. So what? Good. People set free. People could be happy and go serve one another with a bounce in their steps and a song on their lips and joy in their heart instead of the way it is, sucking ever more bitter lemons. Come on, folks. Come on, man. I'm trying to help here. I'm trying to be a good brother to humanity. So please adopt the thing I'm saying. And hold your own with anybody that wants to dispute you when you point these things out. Talk about them. Who are the culprits out there? Who are they? How are they operating? And be logical, please, in the name of God. Anyhow, I know what I'm talking about. I do. I know what I've been watching this thing unfold for a long time. A lot of the younger men, they don't understand the suffering I have undergone for decades. I was here at the assassination of JFK. I remember very well the bailout of '08, very well. I had just got my real estate license, hoping to get into developing affordable housing, hoping we'd have that market correction at that point. And then I realized how political it was, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I don't mean political in terms of liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, socialist, capitalist. I mean political collusion of the moneyed interest, like I talked about before. The real estate agents, they don't care. All those that bailout of '08, those are Democrats and Republicans in the Congress and Senate that put their stamp of approval on this thing, that validated it, legitimized this theft. These politicians, okay? So this is what I'm talking about here. These are collusive